Okay, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm delighted today to be joined by Nick Maycock, director of the Great British Food Festival, and also a very good mate from school.
Yeah, go way back, don't we?
Just a little bit. So we'll try not to just go into chats about the past or anything like that, but no, I'm quite excited to have you on. How many food festivals are going on this year?
We've got 11 events this year.
Yeah.
Just the food festivals, and then obviously we're doing the winter stuff as well now. So
yeah.
5 light trails, and we're doing a couple of Halloween ones actually, which maybe I've not even mentioned to you before. That it's kind of coming in big now since the Americans have made it bigger and bigger. It seems. So, yeah.
Okay.
Enough events to get stuck into, but.
Yeah, so when it comes to putting on big events that thousands of people go to over a weekend, and what I always term the entrepreneurial spirit, we've got the man in today. So tell us a bit more about the Great British Food Festival and the business.
So yeah, well we do, between all the businesses, certainly the food festival, try and get 10,000 people down over a weekend. So each year now we're doing about 100,000 visitors. There's a lot of like nuances to doing it. I think that nuances, but like there's a lot of people that come into the industry and think that it's quite an easy thing to run an event. But certainly with the levels of health and safety you've got to pay attention to these days, and there's so many challenges with marketing it, I think, as well. Yeah, we've got a pretty solid product that I think a lot of people trust to come back to, and a brand now that hopefully is recognisable to a lot of people, so it helps.
So where are some of the venues that people would know?
Yeah, well, Arley Hall near here is a big one for us. Been there for 11 years, I think now. Harewood House in Leeds is a good one. We tried to establish a big country estate really, and they've been really good for us because then it opens up like all the facilities of the house, and you'd often get a tour of the house and the gardens. It was like really a whole day out.
Yeah.
I say that we have got a couple of new sites that are more just like a field, and in the right place they can be a smash too, because we bring a lot of the footprint in for it. So
sure. And I saw Nebworth on the site, and
Nebworth's a class. I love saying, yeah, we're playing Nebworth this weekend. But
10,000 people at Nebworth.
yeah. Just when at the end of the day I get on the stage and go, yeah, that's it. Hello, Nebworth. It's another good venue for us, and been years there as well. So it's a funny thing because like when you go into a new venue, like you often get like a big surge. We had one last year that was like really excited local audience, and then it's trying to keep them engaged the future years by having almost something else in the locker. Yeah. A bit like, I suppose, with restaurants, you open a new restaurant and everybody rushes in, but then it does drop off, and it's always a challenge to reinvent and to keep things interesting for the public, really.
Yeah, give them some value for being there, and time and money. And
the value's huge, isn't it? I mean, I think every gig you go to these days, 50 quid, isn't it? And every cinema trip is 20 quid. And we price our tickets pretty competitively, and you get a lot for your money, I think, at a food festival with us. And hopefully we can keep to do that. Keep it open to a lot of people, really.
Yeah. I suppose there's so much to consider. Do you have ambulances on around, and you don't want anyone dying on you over a weekend, especially if it's warm and there's a lot going on, and it can be quite tough on the body sometimes, can't it?
Yeah. We've not lost anyone yet, so that's good news. Certainly at the food festivals, the worst we've had is like a wasp sting.
Right.
But you look at the Purple Guide, which is often like a blueprint for what you should do in events, really. Yeah. It'll tell you need 20 first aiders down to an event of our size. Yeah. But we have like a lot less, and obviously you can't kind of run an event if you had that many people. They wouldn't be doing anything. No. So there's some challenges, but it's a good industry. It's really exciting to work in as well.
Yeah. How did it all begin?
So for us, we went, university, all good. Didn't enjoy what I did there really. came out with a degree, sort of proved I got a brain cell, I guess, and my dad was happy.
Yeah.
So I was kind of knocking around, and I travelled to Nepal, did a bit of volunteering and things like that, and then finally my dad's like, right, you've got to knuckle down now, and I'd done a couple of jobs that I didn't really get into. And then my dad said, we all sat around one Christmas, I think, and we said, well, we've got this idea for a business. And my dad said, right, he'll fund it a bit, you know, he'll make sure we don't go hungry. And we had his backing. He was FD at Auto Trader. So he'd certainly like seen a lot of businesses and brought out a lot of different magazines and things like that. So
it's great kind of support to have that, isn't it? You know, from an experience point of view.
Big time. And we had him running our accounts for years. I mean, he still does, you know. He's still got a table full of papers at home at the age of 78. We really should let him go on that one. So from there we came up with the concept. Onion Ring was the name we set on and set this website up. And at the time, nobody had menus for restaurants online. So Onion Ring there's a Northwest restaurant guide, and we just started putting menus on. And actually, the first step was we wrote this perfect form, and we were like, right, here's a letter. We'll send this out to every restaurant, and we'll get them online, and everyone's going to send this straight back to us. It's pre-posted, you know, all the prepaid envelopes, and I'd spent ages on CorelDRAW doing the most magnificent form. Yeah. And then send it out, and then a week later, it's like a drip comes back. Like 300 letters had gone, and I think we had 4 responses. Wow. And you're just like, oh my God, there's no demand for this, or what? But restaurateurs are a notoriously tricky breed to get hold of. They obviously get bogged down in the day-to-day running. So we obviously progressed with it, and we tried to get menus, get some information online, and pretty soon we had a growing following on the website. The guy who built the website for us, I was like, he built it in classic ASP back then. And I was sat there watching over his shoulder, watching him, how he did it, and he was explaining it to me. And so I learned a lot of web design at that point. Yeah. Which came in handy for like developing it and then doing some websites for restaurants later on as well. But then, so we kind of learning as we go, and we started to get a few sales, and you know, that was mega, getting a bit of traction. And then Onion Ring was like the perfect bell curve of success as it grew and grew, and we're like, wow, this is amazing, it's going to go everywhere. And then we hit a plateau. I think it was TripAdvisor started doing reviews of restaurants. So they were starting to get above us on the search results. Before that, we were like all over the top results. It'd be like almost the top 5 results for, you know, Cheshire restaurants would be Onion Ring results. And then at the same time, I think almost like Google put a map up. So you'd search for restaurants in Macclesfield, you'd get a map of all the results. You know this well. The map pack. Shift you further and further down, don't they? The organic listings. And so it started to hurt us, and we were losing traffic. But I made a really nice little tweak when I was building, or we sort of updating the website. Is I put the restaurant name in the title tag, and it was the first H1 on the page. Right. Just like totally coincidentally, almost. You know? I'd read somewhere that's probably a good idea. And I just thought, may as well. And it looked quite nice, I thought, on the search results, because then, you know, when you're searching for a restaurant, it's there. And even to this day, I think Onion Ring is now, like, you search for certainly dining deals in Chester, something like that. It's still the top result for a lot of them. We've got
restaurants in Hale, Altrincham, you know, Warrington. Well, it still comes. I checked.
It still comes up.
It's still there. It's still good.
Which is mad, because we kind of gave up on it in the end. Like I say, it was a perfect bell curve of success, and then it kind of, as the ratings dropped down, sales got a bit harder, competition grew. I mean, there's a lot of things in the Onion Ring journey that, looking back, we're like, God, why didn't we do that? My brother, obviously my business partner, and his wife as well, a business partner with me. But they, at the time, Danny insists he created Just Eat. He says that he had the idea, let's put restaurant takeaway menus online.
You're known as the offer web.
But we'd started to put takeaway menus on as well, because we knew, you know, people wanted to see a restaurant menu before they dined there. And then it started to be like, oh, we'll put some takeaway stuff on. It was very hard getting money out of the takeaways. And what we didn't join together at the time was that we should be taking the booking, we should be taking the payment for the meal and then sending it to the restaurant. And it was the same with the restaurant bookings, which became there was loads of tools knocking around then that were all sort of vying to be what is now Booker Table, I guess. Or Open Table. And all those tools were, taking a commission on every booking that the restaurant paid for. We didn't have either. And we instead kind of focused more on dealing with local restaurants, getting web design off them, maximising the clients we had. So, in hindsight, there were, some opportunities missed. But these are the things you learn from, aren't they? And
it's important to look back and go, to learn from that experience, and but actually to get to that point in the first place is huge, isn't it?
It gives you a lot of confidence as well. And we were 22 when we started it, so certainly for 5 or 6 years there, it was growing, and from the age of 22 to 28, kind of thinking, I can do this. You're starting to build some business traction. We're actually paying the bills with this. We're actually going to make some money out of this. And I'd love it, obviously, in the hospitality game as well. We'd go into restaurants and they would say to us, wow, this whole restaurant's full of onion ring diners. Thanks, man. Here's some drinks, here's some food. And you'd be like rock star in some places. It was great. Really exciting time.
I remember doing that because I worked for you guys for a small while. And I was spotted by, I was in a restaurant in Bollington, spotted by the owner, and he came over and went, James, come here, sit down, what would you like? And he wouldn't let me pay for it at the end. And I was like, I couldn't believe that, because all I'd done is take money off him, really. But that proved that the website was probably working for him, actually, in the listing that was there. And the people that I was with thought I was very important and special, and obviously I did nothing to counter that argument. But just a brilliant thing, isn't it? So how did it go from... I remember a conversation where it might have been Janine saying you should do food festivals or something like that, and it was going on and around like that. How did it go from having the conversation of we should probably do this to actually doing one? Can you remember? It's been a lot since, hasn't it?
There was definitely a moment. We were advertising. We had offices at Walton Hall for a while, and we had our first event was at Walton Hall in Warrington. I think that was where we used to get drunk as kids, wasn't it? We were advertising them on Onion Ring as a venue for wedding functions and stuff like that. And I think almost the guy there had said, look, we'd fancy some more events on our field. Have you seen these food festivals? I mentioned it to Dan. And then me and Dan had a meeting up in Preston. We were looking to recruit somebody for sales at the time. I remember we literally, back of a fag packet, we sat down and went, right, how many toilets do you need? Right, that's 2 of them. That'll cost this. What else? We need some electrical. We need some TED marquees going up. These are the different things. Hopefully we can sell a bit of that, and we'll get make some rough estimates how many people might come. And book the first event, and we're like, right, this is it. We'll have a go. Little field at the back of Walton Hall, and we decided £2.50 a ticket, and then belting summer weekend in May. It was absolute beauty. And about 5,000 people came out. It was absolute carnage. We couldn't handle the numbers. I think at the time there was a queue of about a mile back onto the road. Wow. So the police were getting in touch, and it was, our 2 toilets were not really servicing everybody that was there.
How many toilets do we need? 2? A million people waiting to come in.
I remember my mum put it on the car park. She had a pockets full, and she had nowhere to put it.
Oh wow!
Things like that. In hindsight, there's so many things we'd not thought about. But it went all right. Everybody had a good time, and obviously from then to now, there's been a lot of learnings. One of my favourites was you run around doing your thing, especially in events. It's all last minute and kind of a bit of a rush. One of my favourites was. My dad was up on a field with us, and we were flapping because there was too many people. It was a bit congested. Really, and how to control it. And He said, like, lads, calm down, come here, lads. And he said, look, just look around you. Just take a moment and look around you and see how many people are having a good time and smiling. And for me, that's like been the ethos of what we do from now on is, you know, can we keep that good vibe that I think really holds it together, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I from someone that's known you for a while, that's kind of a theme that goes through most things, I think, because whether it's a night out or a holiday to Ibiza or whatever it is, we know that everyone goes because we know we're going to have fun or whatever's going to be going on there, and so people. But I think you need that kind of ability to get people around you and make things happen.
Everybody wants to be happy at source, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, so if you can cater for that, I think you're onto something. Is it whatever your product is?
Yeah.
And you know, certainly like as an events company, you want to connect people. I mean, that's really the goal, is to give them a space that they feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
And you know, for us, like I feel like getting kids off devices and those kind of things, and getting like 3 generations of a family coming together. It's really, really good. It's really, you know, an amazing thing to achieve, and more of that. You know, that's the goal for us, really.
Yeah, it's cool. Love it. So you go from that first one where you're like, oh, okay, it's clearly that there's clearly a need for it, or people want to come and do this kind of stuff, but perhaps we weren't totally prepared for what came along. Was there a point where you felt, actually, we're really good at this now. We've got this sorted and everything's rocking, and we can do we've got thousands of people coming all the time, and we know what we're doing. We can handle it. We can, does that ever happen?
God, no, I don't think it does. Do you ever take stock and go, yeah, we're doing a great job, guys? That's it. Honestly, we don't celebrate our wins enough.
No.
And that's one of the problems in life. I feel like, things just pass you by, don't they?
Yeah.
But
especially if you're doing so many and the huge things to set up in the first place, take down, move around. It's kind of all summer, and then we're doing light events and illuminate events, and well, we're setting them up. What does that need? What do you do?
Yeah. And then if you want to do some analysis, that's a whole different.
Yeah, how do we do this better next year? Oh, we just stopped. Where do we go from here?
But this is almost the point we're at with our business, is that we're trying to get out of the business to get on the business. That's the saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you get out of the day-to-day running of it, you can actually look at like some growth and stuff and
work on it, not in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like we've had a few coaches coming in, and certainly I work with a really good guy, Jeff Hardman, Parnell Consulting. Big shout to him. I love Jeff and the ideology behind it, and certainly trying to build in a way that is sustainable, and for us as well as owners of the business, 15 years doing events, probably. A bit tired of going on stage and saying 3, 2, 1, chili.
Yeah. Doing the chili eating competitions that you've done.
Good times with them. Yeah, it's always a hard one to get on stage. Never something I thought I'd want to do.
No.
But it's amazing how it becomes second nature when you do it a lot. And I do a few of the chats with the chef demos and things like that. It's great, it actually gets you out of your comfort zone, and you realise what you're capable of a bit, don't you?
Yeah.
A bit like doing this as well,
Yeah, well, the first one we did, a bit like you in the food festival, really. The first one we did was kind of well, let's give it a go. And then you realise that it's more of a 2-person format than 3, and then sound gets better, and then lighting improves, and then you're like, oh, someone wants to sponsor it, and then you end up with brownies and with water and
nice,
and all that kind of stuff. So we've actually got a proper sponsor from which we've not mentioned yet, which is Lateral Edge, a cybersecurity company. And so the more you do something, the more you improve. People seem to like it and listen to it. Which it was more for backlinks than fame. That was my ethos at the start. I don't care if anyone watches it or listens to it, and then someone comes to you and goes, I had a listen to that, I thought it was really good, and you're like, really? It's a surprise.
Yeah.
But then people, obviously people must go to you, oh yeah, I went to that event, that was really good. You're like,
It's good when you get that side of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but
it does happen a lot.
It's weekends as well, so I suspect, but it's like unsociable for your life quite a lot of the time sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle living in this game.
Yeah,
we talk like we're like the fair or something at the times. It feels like you just shift from one city to the next. Or,
yeah.
Certainly over summer. So yeah, it's a commitment.
The circus.
The circus, yeah. Circus is coming to town.
Yeah.
But,
one thing I wanted to talk to you about, which I haven't mentioned, is your time in Nepal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Was that a year? Was that after graduating that you went and lived out there for a bit?
Yeah, I think I'd got the degree uni, and then a couple of years later, I wasn't really going anywhere in the jobs I'd found, and I just wanted to go out and feel something a bit different, be a bit inspired. And so I did 6 months like in this little village on the outskirts of Kathmandu. Met some great people, and like certainly for me, like it was kind of introduction to Buddhism and to opening your mind, I guess, to different ways. There was a great book, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, which I still love, is like my favourite read of all time. Yeah. And since then, like certainly the last 7 years, I've got more into it, and I now like go regularly to a program like on a Sunday, and it's good for just resculpting the way you think, and that not everything is as straightforward as you first think. And I often thought that happiness was like a goal that you could reach. But it really is a way. It's a path, isn't it? It's not some distant goal. You have to live it every day. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of other things like when you get frustrated with people quite a lot or angry. It's it's understanding why the mind's doing that as well, and what's going on. And like often like you'll be frustrated because somebody's done something that you don't like, but try to understand where they're coming from. Rather than, just it might be somebody cuts you up at a roundabout, but you don't know what's going on with that person at the time, and try and feel some compassion towards people a bit more that way.
Yeah. Was it quite peaceful out in Nepal? Not in Kathmandu, obviously.
Kathmandu is great as well. It's changed a bit over the years. But, I go back quite a bit, and like certainly the first time I was, out in the middle of nowhere, and remember sort of sitting up on the hills and watching the Himalayas and the thunder clouds sort of coming in. The whole world was available to you then. Yeah. It kind of certainly like gave me some impetus coming back to try and start the business, that feeling a bit fresher about life. And
you told me a story about going to base camp Everest and it being a whiteout and getting quite dicey at one point.
I was with another guy, so you're supposed to normally go with a guide. Yeah. But we were cutting on our budget there, I think. Just the two of us.
Things to cut budget on. I'm not sure that's the thing to cut your budget. Yeah.
So we weren't maybe getting on that great, but so the final day, the hike up to base camp, and then I was like, all right, I'm up early, I want to get started, so I'll catch you later on. So I'd gone and got there, I had a cup of tea with a nice Sherpa guy at base camp, and it was probably like 4-hour hike, 2 hours back and 2 hours. And then I'd turn around because, I thought, well, it looks like the weather's getting a bit ropey, and I think things can change quite quickly up on Everest. So I was going back home, and I'd seen him. He was like half an hour behind me at least. Thought, you better get there quick and just get a quick photo and go. So as I'm coming back into the lodge we were staying at, it was proper white out, full blizzard. Could barely see the path I was walking on. Right. And I jump into the lodge. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I'm like, this guy's an hour behind me now.
Probably. Got me in trouble.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a bit worried for him, really.
Was he all right in the end?
Yeah, he turned up with a smile on his face, and thankfully we didn't.
I wouldn't go out there for a while.
But good fun. Great to see him.
I was thinking about there's never really, and we were talking about this before, weren't we, about the entrepreneurial spirit of I'm going to go to base camp. Oh, get up early, can do it. And it's like there's no thought of limitations. And there's a lot of people that limit themselves, isn't there? And you're not really someone that has limitations.
Yeah. I suppose you can do anything if you take a small step, can't you? I like the Everest analogy, actually.
Yeah.
Like, Everest wasn't made in a day, was it? It was inch by inch, it grew. And that's how, I think for like in business, it's true as well. Like, we didn't grow onion ring like overnight. You know, there's this idea on social media now that all entrepreneurs have to get a startup and it would be like, within 2 years, you'd be a multi-millionaire. And it's just not like that, I don't think, in reality.
No.
You've got to grind at it every day and continue to do the right things, and then they pay off in the end.
You know, it's like you say, you have to keep going and keep improving, and hopefully you create something that is fairly decent, or get back from base camp. You know, it's one of the two.
Gotta take a step, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, one thing I thought was really special, which I thought I'd bring up, is the Nepal Foundation thing that you set up, which really came. So correct me if I'm wrong. So obviously there was a big earthquake a few years back, and it destroyed kind of villages and areas that were around, and China closed the borders on one side, and there was really no hope. And I don't know whether there was a foundation set up at that point, or
we've been doing a bit. So but the earthquake 2015. Like you go into Kathmandu, all the major monuments. There was like some 2,000-year-old temples and stuff in the centre, and they came crumbling down, you know, with people in them.
Wow.
And certainly the village that we ended up. I had a friend in the village in Kathmandu, who's like my volunteer coordinator from years ago. So we'd stayed in touch, and Ram's been amazing at sort of over the years. We've helped some kids into school and paid for their education. So it'd been like child sponsorship to sort of make sure they get a good like leg up. But then at that time, we found this village like up in 2 miles from the Kathmandu Valley, and it was kind of like really nice people there, so kind and generous, and they had nothing. They all lived in mud huts, and a lot of the huts, I think 18 out of the 20 houses in the village had come crashing down. Gosh. So Ram's idea was, you know, let's get out there and see what we can do for them. And the thing that they really needed was like a water supply, because of the earthquake, the water had moved. So we put in a reservoir there, and then put a tap into every house, all metered, set up a committee there as well. So rather than just like giving them a solution, it was something they could manage themselves. And then like 3 or 4 years after that, half of them were like goat shepherds. They'd made money off that, and some were doing sheep farming, and it was flourishing. The village was flourishing, and it was great to see. And it's, you know, in a big part down to like Ram's efforts. And you know, I just put a bit of money in and sat through some meetings in Nepalese for hours. I have no idea what happened. But it was obviously like to give them the tools and then say to them, like, you guys go and manage it now. And it takes from both parts. The villagers were obviously really happy with it, but really great to see what can be achieved, actually.
Didn't you send out some clothing when it was after the earthquake, wasn't that?
Certainly, like for the kids in the school, we got like loads of hats and gloves and some nice photos of everyone.
You can get quite cold, can't it?
It's a bit chilly
that way. So,
well, I'm always in my t-shirt there because I'm used to the UK.
I just say it's amazing that's kind of come to fruition, and obviously there's the kids that have been educated have come back as medical professionals and help it's adding to society, isn't it? You know, I think that's quite cool. Yeah,
we keep in touch with a few of them, and like certainly like to see that like how they've grown, and certainly to see the village having improved is great as well.
Yeah,
but I think that actually Nepal now is awash with like first like aid money, and it's almost hard to find good projects, is what we've found.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So back to food festivals. when you start a business and it's you and it's kind of family business, and then you're doing a lot of the leg work, and not the weg lurk, but the leg work, and building up, and you're doing it all, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and you start employing people. It can be quite tricky, can't it? The leadership side of things, like to go from being the doer to the you getting other people to do it to your standard and that you're proud of, and all that kind of stuff.
The biggest challenge, I think, actually.
Yeah.
It's not just recruitment, is it? It's kind of like empowering them to do it and
being proud of what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like there's obviously a lot of different sort of leadership styles, aren't there? And certainly with our company, I've got my brother and his wife, and the three of us are very different people. We all have a very different idea, which has been great for like growing business.
Yeah.
And we all could like cover the different skills that's required, but certainly to have one voice as a leadership in a leadership role is difficult. So actually at the moment we're doing it where I'm in charge of the food festivals, Janine's Luminate, and Danny's helping to get new business and push us on. So I feel like that gives us a bit more structure, and it gives the staff a bit more clarity as well.
Yeah.
But then, to get people on board with what you're doing and to have a vision and to really drive a business on, I think, I talk about the onion ring bell curve, the perfect. I feel like almost with the food festivals, we might be slowing our growth at the moment. And it might be now that we just need to look at, we've looked for some external help to kind of help us push on. And maybe we need to look internally as well and, make sure we've got all our
the
cards in the right order and we're ready for growth.
Yeah.
Because I think you can plateau, can't you? And, you get to get to the next level is, I was never a leader. I was never like a leader of people, I don't think. I might want to be the captain of the football team, but it's something you have to just learn. And as you get older, you find like, you have to be suitable to the roles you need to do in a business. And sometimes it's doing, isn't it? And sometimes it is leading.
There's a guy, sales guy, I always talk about where, really good salesman and then became the manager of other salespeople. And the skills to be a good salesman are very different to managing people, and was horrendous at it. Right? Just annoyed everyone, was quite grumpy with everyone, just went, just go and do your job. Right? All right, and so going, as you grow through the business and you go to that management style of thing, and because you have to, as you can't do everything. Yeah. It's a big learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah. You don't want to be the bottleneck in your own business, do you?
No.
It was interesting. I was listening to your podcast.
Okay, good plug there.
Yeah. And I think you said about your time at Onion Ring that you were doing sales and you didn't want to, like at the time it was difficult to pick up the phone. It wasn't something you were happy with, and we see that a lot. Nobody wants to call anybody these days. Everybody wants to email. But I remember that time as well, and I was thinking, God, I'm so sad that I didn't talk to you about it, and maybe try and find a way through it. Yeah. But those are lessons, aren't they? The things you get wrong in the past that you.
But it can appear in different ways, can't it? Because if I'm internally going, I'm feeling a bit sick, picking up the phone, and you're thinking, he's not fucking calling anyone. What's he doing? He needs to get more sales in, and so it's, you have to be, if you're struggling with that, if anyone is ever struggling with that kind of thing, is to talk to people and just say like, I'm really struggling with this. I was scared I'd lose my job, and that's why I left recruitment, even though I kind of started to do quite well. And I just, the picking up the phone was a ridiculous problem to have, because it was what we did all day, every day.
But then there's always ways through something, isn't there? And you have to trust the people you've got, I think, and give them the tools to do what they need to do. Yeah. And that, whether that is support or training or, maybe even changing the role slightly. Yeah, you've got to be flexible as a boss and be encouraging. Otherwise, you're not going to get the best out of people.
Yeah.
And like talking about like all the big companies, I think Bartlett said in a recent interview that he's got a department for failure. You have to almost go out there and try to fail.
Right.
That's what the big companies do. I think Google have a day where you're supposed to not work on the jobs you're doing. You have to work on something creative or outside of it. And, you know, it's easier for us to get bogged down in the day-to-day, but you've got to try and do something different. Otherwise, you're going to keep coming across the same problems, aren't you?
Google's interesting. So I was part of recruiting for Google, and we had a number of guys that were kind of like PhD mathematics guys, and they were good programmers. And so you could move them between big finance houses, games development, and places like Google. And Google would always win because they pay quite well, and like 20% of your job was working on your own project. And these PhD guys love that. And but then they go, but Google weren't kind of giving that away. They were going, you know, if there's anything you want to take to, you know, if we think anything's good, we'll take it on, and you can run it, and we'll take so much percentage of what happens. And
that's literally so Google go, there's one day a week, work on your own project.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. So easy to sell.
Yeah.
I think it was in Ireland somewhere when, I mean, this is 20 years ago, so a long time ago. But
it's really trusting your employees as well, though, isn't it? It's not just saying, you know, go off and have a jolly. That's saying, we trust you to be the future. Yeah. Bring us something new.
And they realise these guys are very, very switched on, and were very good at what they did, and had come from either finance or games or education or whatever, and they thought, well, we can use this. And they realised that these guys will have ideas, and we want to be part of that. You know. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. In an organisation, there's a lot of people that have good ideas that would relate to what you do, and it's how you kind of grow that and be part of it, you know.
You always have to encourage it.
Otherwise they'll go somewhere else, won't they? Or they'll do something else or not do anything. And I think that's quite...
I was going to say, no idea is a bad idea. I've heard one or two that are pretty bad.
So, we've had a few.
But the Google, Facebook thing is also funny, isn't it? For me, like, going back to like running the food festivals, we spend so much money, like trying to pay for the top clicks and things like that. And certainly, like, there was a food festival, North Yorkshire Food Festival, Yorkshire Dales. I think that they went under. They sent out a message saying that it was because I think Facebook had changed their logarithm or something.
Right, yeah.
So their cost per purchase that they were going through had gone through the roof. It's like, I feel so sad that so much of money in companies, certainly like mine, is going off to America, and like they're not paying any tax on this stuff either, are they? It's really frustrating. It's such a shame there isn't a UK-based one at least. That
you could invest into. Well, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of that business. Other search engines are available, I'm sure. But there is that kind of thing, and I think it's becoming a little bit different now. There's a bit more competition. There's AI search. There's there's social search, which is a big thing, and it's not always paid for that does it, but it takes a bit more time to do.
By social search, you mean like searching on TikTok? Or?
Yeah, and Instagram, Facebook, that kind of stuff. And algorithms do change. And it's how it's keeping abreast of that and how you do it. But I think if you continue to create good quality, then it'll always be up there because human engagement is what they want. That's the main focus, and they'll always push things that engage more than others.
Well, certainly TikTok is 7 seconds. You got 3 seconds or something to catch somebody in. It's like the world's attention span has just got so much worse, hasn't it?
Oh, it's shocking. There's someone, I have a 7-year-old boy, and banned him now from screens.
All screens?
Midweek. Yeah.
Not ice creams.
It's just ruining his brain, you know, and his attention span and everything. And over the last 2 weeks, he's become a different person.
Right.
I'm always like things in moderation. And it's Friday now, so he's back on the screens watching YouTube or whatever, and it's not good.
It's got to be good for him.
Playing games, but it is, yeah. And he's read a lot more. He's engaging a lot more with me, you know, and it's good.
Yeah.
But that attention span and that thing, and keeping people on it, and the dopamine hit, and everything is huge for them, isn't it? Yeah. It's how they pay the bills, I'm sure.
It almost feels like that's true of, is it Gen X or Gen Z who's coming through now? That their working environment needs to be almost as engaging. Short wins as well, and you know, to get young people along with what you're doing is a bit harder these days, I think. Yeah,
especially after COVID. Everyone worked from home for a lot of the time, or didn't work at all. And you know, it's like, well, you want me to come back in the office?
Yeah.
Why? I'm doing my job at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to kind of give them a reason.
Well, we want a team to build together. You know.
Obviously, you can't work from home with you, but but you know, there's definitely you know, if we're talking about digital stuff, you probably think that I don't know what I lose track of what age group is what gen thing or whatever. Sign of age, that, isn't it? But you know, a younger person might be more accepting of like an AI bot that would create the initial conversation, or a chat bot on to start the conversation and put you in a different way, and others might just go, oh, I'm not doing that with the AI chat bot if they're a bit older. So it's like,
true.
Understanding who your demographic is, who the age group, how they searching, how they finding things, how they looking up how to do stuff, and try and put you and your business out there. And it's a big thing at the moment, I think, in terms of SEO isn't just about Google, which is today's podcast that was released today of Ben Barker. He's a really good SEO, and he says it's about connecting everything, and it's not just Google anymore.
You need to rename it.
What's that?
It's not search engine optimization anymore, is it? It's like internet optimization or something.
Being connected. I don't know where I'm going to go with that, but I do that sometimes. I go off on a bit of a tangent, and then as I'm talking, I'm thinking, what can I ask next? So what's next for the food festivals? What's the...
good year ahead, hopefully. Hopefully the sun will come out.
Yeah.
Obviously for us, it's big on whether an event gets a good turnout or not still. Winter, we're doing light trails, got 5 of those. And then Halloween's getting big, so Fright Nights. We were down at Margam Castle down in South Wales for our first one last year.
Yeah.
People loving it. People going crazy with it. Different audience as well, so it's kind of exciting to get into that where, you know, it's that 18 to 25 sort of category as well. And, different people coming out at a different time. They want a different experience as well. Yeah. But screaming a lot of screaming girls. But we need more screaming girls apparently. So.
There was an interesting thing I saw where there was a competition who could scream the loudest, and they had like a decibel reader, and it was a competition at the end of this kind of event that was going on. I've seen it somewhere online.
You know. Guy, it was frightening, the noise coming from that castle. Late on at night, and it's pretty good because we send them at Margam. It's like a proper castle, so they go in and then it's pitch black, and there's a few
takes you back
things coming out.
A couple of 100 years.
I won't go in on my own.
No.
But we're certainly so that's like the core of the business now. Is those sort of 3 brands of our events. But then maybe there's some offshoots we can go to as well.
Yeah.
We've got a bank of 200 stewards. So, we're kind of can we use those somehow as a stewarding agency? Or Danny's certainly going off and investigating what else we can do. But hopefully growth, let's push on and do some more amazing things and get more people through. And more happy moments, I think.
One thing I haven't covered, and I did plan to do it, was, you know, the so you've got the obviously people coming into the food festival that are purchasing tickets for how long, the weekend or a day or whatever. But then you've also got, in that you've got the entertainment. So I know you've had bands on and chefs cooking, doing demonstrations, and then you've got the businesses that are there with stalls, like displaying what they do, you know, like local produce and all that kind of stuff. Am I right with all that?
Yeah. 100 street food stalls.
Yeah.
4 stages. So music stage, challenge stage with our Man vs Food challenges.
Yeah.
We do a nice cake off, which is not at all a rip off of the bake off. And we got a new stage this year, chat stage.
The chat stage, yeah.
So I'm learning a lot from you right now.
Yeah.
I think I might be trying to get some panelists to come down. I should get you on.
Yeah.
So to chat about different things, like could be food related, might be more wellness or health, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
But whatever's of interest, really.
Yeah.
I've got a dog trainer coming in.
Yeah.
I've got, you know, a few different people, and hopefully, we can get some interesting content there. But it seems to be that job is like TV production job.
Yeah.
Which is not something I'd expected to be doing. Almost like chasing around, trying to formulate the right questions, and so it's an interesting one to add on.
You got the stage, and you go, well, people don't want to be, probably won't want to be stood up all the time. And last time I was at one, there was like bales of hay strategically placed around and chairs and stuff like that. There's obviously a lot more thought that goes into it than than anything else.
200 seats on site, I guess, and we tend to get like 18 sort of hot food and bars as well. 20 of them, and then like I say, loads of different traders selling everything. So
Coffee,
it's
cake.
but like it's trying to keep it interesting, do something different as well.
Yeah.
You know, like I say about the chat stage, doing like a podcast would be good on the back of that maybe. This year we're trying to.
If only you knew someone that did that.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, we're trying to do a bit more. Certainly, the dogs is one thing as well. A bit more for them. Dog ownership's gone mad since COVID, hasn't it? So,
it has.
But yeah, there's like so many different opportunities at the food festival. Keeping it relevant, keeping it interesting is. I'd come up with this other idea. Oh my god, this was gem.
Okay.
I was in Japan on holiday, and
go on.
30 centimetre French fry.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out how they did it. It was amazing, this thing.
Okay.
Bought some, obviously.
Yeah.
Tasted incredible, better than any French fry I've ever tasted.
Okay.
So it's like a mashed potato ball, and they bind it together, I think, with a bit of baking carb.
Okay.
And then they can flavour it as well, because it's a mashed potato ball, and extrude it. And so you get
it's just a massive chip.
It's a
So
you get 12 of them, but they taste better than a French fry. They look amazing, like properly Instagrammable.
Yeah.
You put all your toppings on it. I was like, guys, this is it. We need to be running this store this year. You know,
a chip dog. You put it in a bath, and you could put
you could do that. The Japanese haven't thought of that one yet. And I was like, right, we're going to call it British Fries.
Okay.
You know, Great British Food Festival.
Yeah.
It's like a little mockery of the French, isn't it? To say it's slightly better than bigger than the French fry.
The massive Great British Fry.
Couldn't get the guys into it.
No.
They didn't fancy running a chip shop.
I think
there's big money in chips.
there is.
There's not much cost involved here.
Actually, big chips.
Yeah, you'll see it coming.
Yeah.
We had an application from a company who wanted to do it.
Oh right, okay.
This year, check out your street food.
This could be one of those things that you wish you'd done.
Oh,
like,
it's not too late. I bought the extruder thing from China and everything. Tested it at home. I was like, this is doable. This.
There you go. Well, okay. We might cut that out then if it's going to be there.
It's the big money maker. Yeah.
Amazing. If anyone, so this is a kind of a thing, if any, been doing this a long time, if anyone was thinking about doing a big event Doesn't have to be a food festival. We're not trying to take business away.
No, that's cornered that market.
Yeah,
Leave it alone.
Yeah. What advice would you give to them for it? Like a approach or mentality, or
Yeah. Okay. Well, the venue's important, obviously. You see a lot of events where they go in the middle of nowhere or something, or they haven't considered parking or something like that. I've seen, like, I've been in conversations where people have planned on, you get the software and they're like, right, I'll plan everything, plans that every tent's going to go, and this person's going to do that there, and you've got to be a bit flexible in this game. I feel like as much as you can have a plan, it is a bit like a theatre show or something where the show must go on no matter what as well. And once you've got your plan and you know what everyone's doing, and everyone's got a plan B as well, really. Yeah. Once you're up and running, you've got to stick to that. You've got to follow it through. The show can't stop. The show must go on. Yeah. Certainly, like when we ran the first events, we got a girl in to help us with some sales, and lovely girl, and she was like really good, and we're like, right, she's going to be brilliant for us. And so on the event itself, there's a bit of pressure, a lot of people asking you lots of things. You've got to prioritize quickly. You've got to be able to delegate quickly. She couldn't. She was swamped by traders. Can be a bit harsh, the food traders, and she was in tears somewhere in the back of, trying to hide away from it all. It's a pressured job, and a lot of people are looking to you for an answer. And I guess it's always good to just take a breath. Yeah. And there's no harm in that, and then just go, okay, what's the right thing to do? Yeah. You can rush into a wrong answer. Yeah. I've got a nice little analogy here. Okay. It's a little story. There was in the early days, we maybe a gust of wind, and quite often a gazebo would be picked up. I shouldn't say quite often. The health and safety.
Occasionally. This one time.
This one time, right? Yeah. So this guy had obviously not pegged it down to our standards, and he'd not done his risk assessment. And so this gazebo gets picked up, and all our staff run towards it. And I see everyone's like 10 of them all running to go and grab hold of the legs. And I'm like, all right, I'll go and get the ratchets and the pegs. Yeah. Because once they've got hold of it, we've got to be able to get it down. Yeah. So I think it's almost like somebody has to almost think about the other tasks. They think a step ahead a little bit, or, and certainly cover everything. You can't have just everybody doing the same thing. You'll end up losing track of the bigger picture.
I have an example of it, because I think a big part of it is problem solving, and not stopping when there's an issue or a problem. And
like a bunny in the headlights.
Yeah. I remember I come over to your house, and you were trying to move this your caravan out of the way, and this wasn't happening. And I'm going, Nick, this isn't going to happen, and this thing's going like that, and you're in the middle of it, and I'm thinking, you're going to get crushed here or something. and the trees go in as well, and there was no thought of, no, I'm just going to leave it there. This has to move, and if I'm not going to do it this way, I'll do it another way. And that was clear that kind of mentality, I think. You have to have that, don't you?
I was thinking one of my worst qualities is stubbornness, actually. But
it's a strength, though, isn't it? In terms of, well, I'm not going to be beaten by this. This is moving. Yeah. And
took some getting out of that caravan,
So
it was buried 5 years later.
Oh, was it? Yeah. I think you've been stood in the same place for a long time, hasn't it? And,
that caravan went to caravan heaven, and every time my mum came around, she still got that caravan on your land, like hyacinth bouquets.
Yeah.
On Oslo.
That show, yeah. Mums are great for that, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? You've got down here the men's retreat.
Oh, that was an interesting one. So Like, I think actually it touches on something you know a lot about as well, because you got quite into the Wim Hof thing and the cold exposure.
Yeah, and
kind of
breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really interesting piece on sort of obviously like for us like mental health of the staff and mental health of everybody. You kind of got to get in touch with yourself a bit and understand yourself, and it runs in business and in life, doesn't it? But yeah. So I went on this men's retreat recently, really interesting concept, because men apparently don't get a space to to talk really.
Yeah.
Or, you know, certainly like any chat group will maybe be dominated by women traditionally. So these guys have a space just for men, and the idea is that I guess you can find some boundaries, you can find out who you are a bit, and I really like the way that I think like well-being's getting put to the front a lot. You know, we've certainly seen it with some of our staff where they've been struggling a bit mentally, and because it is a pressure job, and you know, maybe you're away from home a lot. So yeah, there's certainly some challenges in life there that you know, like to sort of push people forward and to help them along the way. A lot of great tools coming out at the moment, aren't there? I think there's a lot of things really well written.
Yeah.
You know, podcasts and things like that help a lot. But it's certainly like there's a piece there maybe I can bring into the chat stage as well and try and help people a little bit that way.
Yeah.
But you find the breathwork's good, don't you?
Yeah, I took it up because son wasn't sleeping at all, and it was like 3 hours a night, every night, not all at once, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. One night I had about 50 minutes, and the rest of it I was walking around the house with it, trying to get him to sleep. And it wasn't his fault, he had really bad reflux and a few other things.
You had a tough time to start with.
Yeah, for 3-4 years. Right. Yeah. But then I had to go into the office and try and do a full day's work, and then it was all about I'd just get in a cold shower, and that'd wake me up for a bit, and then breathing, and it just helped me relax. And there's lots of things that go in the body that when you don't sleep and when lots of things are going on, quite a high stress situation, and you know, family wise, and a lot of worry. So it helps just relax and stay awake at your job and do things like that. And there's other things that people don't talk about. It just kind of took away any fear, I remember doing a bit of I was asked to talk in front of a few hundred people, and I had like 5 minutes notice. And it was about what we did as a business, and I was like, okay, right, all right. And I just went out and did it, whereas the butterflies and everything would have been going, and it seemed to really help it.
Well, so it's like the breathing changes your physiology, changes the chemistry in your body almost. And, last time I did it, it was like getting a lot of oxygen into your cells. And there's a way I understand it, certainly like the Tibetan monks, they use a thing called tumo, which is like in a fire. Yeah. So they use the breathing exercises so that when they're up in a cave, they can create warmth by just breathing differently.
And they put clothes on them and they dry the clothes off, don't they?
It's incredible what the body can do, actually, and how resilient it can be.
And the whole thing around what I found was that you're creating stress on the body, but you under control. So you just getting in a cold shower is very stressful. You have a stressful response. Yeah. But you can control it, and the same with the breathing exercises and holding your breath for longer. But there's a control there. So the more you do it, the more you can handle stress and pressure and that kind of stuff.
Gives you that confidence that you're going to be all right.
Yeah, and your body subconsciously deals with it better, I think.
Well, that's the subconscious mind has a lot to answer for, doesn't it? All of our bad habits are coming from that, aren't they? And as soon as you can start to tackle some of the things that are left there, that's when you can really affect change, I think.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? I'd love to get more involved in that kind of stuff, and you kind of go back in and out of it because you kind of, it's like anything, isn't it? You do something that's good for you, and then you forget about it.
Oh, I hate that.
You go, what did I used to do? Oh, right, yeah. How did I get 10 clients in 10 days? Oh, I did that. Why did I stop doing that?
That was genius.
Yeah.
I think my mind was, I was waxing lyrical about how good yoga was, and the guy says to me, "Oh yeah, when did you do it last?" I'm like, "Oh, it was like 4 months ago." Oh, yeah. I was so fit. I was top of my game.
Yeah. Life gets in the way, doesn't it?
It really does. But
Yeah.
you got to give a bit of space to the mind, haven't you, and the body, and let it all kind of come together holistically. I think. But as we get older, do we get more wise to this? Is that what it is?
This is sounding like we've had a few drinks and we're talking philosophically about the world. Maybe. If you're interested in that kind of thing, I think it's natural just to contemplate, isn't it, for a bit?
Yeah. I think that there's an ideology behind Taoism.
Okay.
Kind of like go with the flow a lot. It's kind of seen as being very passive. But there's a lot of good ideas behind that, actually. Yeah. Why fight to try and achieve something when you can, instead of struggling, go with what feels natural? It might take you somewhere that you don't think you want to go to, but that can open up a lot of doors as well, actually.
Someone told me something about grief, and they said, especially if someone dies to you that's close, they say, don't fight it. You fight it, you make it worse.
Right.
If you just relax and go with how you're feeling, then it'll pass quicker. And there's a lot to be said for that with anything, isn't it?
Patient understanding.
Yeah, stop fighting.
They say that you learn most from the hard places as well, don't they? So.
Yeah. This is a whole new podcast now, isn't it?
The philosophy podcast. I don't get enough time to
feel my hair growing as we speak, and
the beard.
Yeah. Coming with long robes next time.
Yeah.
With a campfire in front of us. We should do that. That would be really funny, actually.
Well,
it'd be good.
As long as Russell Brand's not covered the market for it, eh?
No. Well, yeah, there is a bit of that, isn't there, with him now? And other stuff. Well,
indeed. On that note, eh?
On that note, yeah. Great to have you on, and thanks for coming all the way over here to do it.
It's been too long. It's been a pleasure as well.
It has been too long.
Good chat.
And we'll go and have some lunch and contemplate more on life.
It's a good plan.
All right. Thanks.